For this week's car, I'm going to turn this Matchbox Lamborghini Centenario into a RC. And just by looking at it, there should be plenty of space inside of the interior for me to put all this stuff. So the thing about this is I'm gonna have to keep the side skirts and the front lip. So when I'm done, I can glue them back onto the body. Now we can cut down these posts. Okay, now by looking at it, I'm going to be needing this rear end piece here for the plastic portion, and also the side skirts and the front lip. So I'll use a Dremel and a cutting wheel to cut these off and basically take off as much material as I can all the way up to the bumper area. Same goes for the front here. And once that's done, I can glue them all back. For this build, I'll be using a linear servo. I'm hoping to mount the servo like this so I could basically screw it in on the bottom side and it won't protrude too much or show too much when the chassis is on. Now it's time to open up these pockets here for the on and off switch. The on and off switch will sit right there on the left side, and the charging port will be here on the right side. What I normally do is I'll just take a square file like this and just open up the pocket starting from one corner and just slowly open up the pocket just enough to fit the components snugly in there. Okay, now that all the trims is glued into place, then we just set this aside for it to cure. Now this is just the liquid electrical tape that I'm using to cover up any of the exposed solder area. And it's been pretty good. I don't think it's caused any short on the receiver yet, but this has what I've been using. Now that I have all the components soldered together, it's time to start assembling it into the chassis, and also try to get the front steering mechanism working properly. A little bit of dilemma. I think I should have had, instead of soldering this directly onto the lines, the servo is supposed to be mounted from the underneath on the bottom side, and I don't think I can do that because the everything else sits on top. So what I'm gonna have to end up doing is feeding every component slowly through, and after feeding everything through, I can mount the servo. So now I don't have to worry about the wiring being on the outside. It's going to sit right here, so I won't have to worry about the wires being pinched or anything on the outside between the chassis and the car. Now the on and off switch could be fed into the pocket, and the same thing with the charging port. Now I'll put a bead of hot glue around the on and off switch and also the charging port, just so then they can stay in place and not come out when I use them. And this is the easiest way I can do to have them stay in place and remove the component when I need to. The difficult part about this is not to have any of the wirings or any other component interfere with the steering arm. So if the steering arm is obstructed with anything, then of course it won't steer correctly. It's time to drill the 2 small holes in the back here where I mark it, so we can basically feed in this wire here. So this is basically how this setup is going to be, whereas I have the linear servo here connecting to the cross member, and the only issue is this linear servo is kind of in the way, so I don't know if I will have enough room to actually put the battery. So I thought about maybe I'll have to put the battery here in the back, but of course I think I have too much wiring too. I could definitely shorten those down, but we'll see how this one operates. So in this particular model, I basically was just aiming for steering and throttle. That's all I was aiming for. And so since I have that, I could put on the chassis to see how it runs.